Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to European Truck Simulator 2, and welcome to Bayonne, France. So, as you can see, we are in our Volvo. Our Volvo is a rigid. We got a hollow dolly trailer with it. How is it in France? Well, let me tell you, we got this wee baby dolly trailer on it, and I was under the impression that because that first dolly trailer we got was only allowed in Scandinavia, that was for all dolly trailers, but it's only for that massive dolly trailer. These small dolly trailers can go anywhere in Europe. So what I did was I sent our Actros up to Bergen, and I had this truck sent down from Bergen. We were in Bilbao last episode, but I drove up out of Spain, and we're just a little ways up the French coast. I guess that's the French Atlantic coast, is it not? European geography, not my strong suite. So let's find a load going to somewhere in the UK. And we'll get her going, man. Yeah, that's on the Atlantic coast. Right. Plymouth. 839 kilometers. That's kind of a long trip. You want to take it all the way? Yeah, let's go all the way. It pays pretty good. 14,000 euro. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. So, oh, it's right around the corner. Fantastic. So, once again, driving with the mini map off. And, I mean, it's definitely more challenging. It's not impossible. Nothing to hold us back. And let's get picked up because it's right around the corner. Let's get picked up and then we'll get on the road and I'll talk at you a little bit. Tell you what is going on. Oh, the Renault. Just creeping so slow. You take your time. Get out of here. Carefully. Right on, man. So yeah, I'm super excited to be driving this truck again. I thought I was only going to be able to drive it in Scandinavia, and because we won't be back in Scandinavia till after we go north through the UK, around Iceland, and then back over to Scandinavia. Back over to, I don't know, wherever we can get via ferry from Iceland. Can I make this turn? Oh, can I make this turn to hit the... Yeah, I can hit that target. Turn signal off, please. Thank you. And let's get her in neutral. Let's see what we got. Right there. Beautiful. Okay, let's do it. So, as you can see, I did put a skin on this truck. Should have put a skin on it, and I did. So happy about that. It didn't take too long. It's not a bad truck to skin. I mentioned in an ATS video that some trucks are harder than others. Some trucks are easier than others. This one wasn't too bad, but I did want to get a skin on there. We were running all black last time. Now, the rigid trucks, I have to say, I guess there is a way to do it because I've seen it done. But I'm talking about having one skin that covers both the cab and the box. Oh, okay. I think it was going to give it to us. Fantastic. Lights off. It's early in the morning, so we'll leave those on. Engine off. Yeah, let's load up. Here we go. And I did sleep and time it so we could be driving in daylight. Right. Lights on. Put her in gear, brake off, lift axle down. Here we go. So I've seen it done where people have a skin that is, it's cab skin and a skin for the box, both. And what I'll do is I use the ETS Studio, the ETS skin tool, and you can put a mod truck in there. Moment. Concentrating. Dolly trailer's pretty well mannered, I have to say, though. They cooperate. So you put your mod into ETS Studio and then you find a template and you build a skin, and it's a pretty straightforward process. Well, there's two skins. There's two DDS files for these rigid conversions. There's one for the cab, which is no problem. That's the same skin that you would use on 4x2 or a 6x4 or whatever, like on the standard just lorry front articulated rear. You know what I'm saying. And then there's another skin for the box, which is very often the same skin that you use for the same size box if you're just skinning and a carry trailer. Moment. Just hitting curbs everywhere. We got this. Got this? Yeah, we got it. Let's find another gear here now. We got it. So that's pretty straightforward, but it combines the two. Now, what I'll do when I can't make a skin work, what I'll do is I'll find a skin that somebody else has made for that same truck, and I'll download it and I'll sort of pull it apart and reverse engineer it. I'll still build my own actual skin. I'll build the image file, but I will use somebody else's skin that they've built that is working for that truck, like as a starting point, because they got it to work, and there's times when I just can't figure it out, so I'll use theirs to see how they did it. Well, I've found skins for the rigid conversions that have the cab and the box represented with two different image files, I guess, two different areas. And for some reason, they're not working anymore. So in the download and in the JPEG that's included with that skin, it's got a picture of the skin, right? One on the cabin, one on the box. Okay, cool. And then you load it, and what it does is it takes the cabin skin and puts it on the cabin, and it puts it on the box, all jibber jabbered. So I feel like maybe something's different. I don't know, but I'm not able to get this working. Initially, we had just black all over. Black is beautiful, but I wanted to go with at least a corporate skin on the cab, so I just made the box on the rigid and the trailer box, the dolly trailer box, just white. Looked better than black. And you can't make the corporate blue. I can make the trailer corporate blue, but I can't make the box on the rigid conversion corporate blue. It can either be painted the truck color or it can be white. So anyway, I'll crack it, but so far I have not been able to. So if you're wondering why we're rocking corporate colors on the cabin and just a plain white box, that is why. So that's one thing that's on my list. Spain, last episode. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to like explain myself, and I'm not apologizing. I guess I do just want to clarify. Spain was really kind of a struggle for me. And I was thinking, and I've got kind of call it a crew. Yeah, call it a crew. I've got some folks that I'm sort of working with on this whole, growing my YouTube channel thing. And I've asked some of them, like, where are you at with an episode like that, where I'm kind of cranky, kind of bitchy. Let's get this going. I really am. And, I was asking them, should I just not post a video like that? And they said, no, man, go ahead and post it. You weren't, like, coming off like a complete lunatic. And so I was thinking about, what are the truck videos? There's different kinds of videos on my channel, but the truck videos, mostly, we just drive around America, drive around Europe, talk about sim gaming, talk about life, and stuff like that. So we're on a road trip together, right? And sometimes when you're on a road trip, I don't know, maybe you get lost, maybe you get turned around, maybe things aren't, maybe there's a little bit of tension in the vehicle, you know what I'm saying? So I guess that's what that was. But I do want this, I've always wanted this channel to be like the total gaming experience. What's it like being a gamer in 2018? What's it like being a sim gamer? And what's it like when I sim game? The good, the bad, and the ugly. So hopefully that was the bad, but it wasn't really the ugly. But if you're wondering, dude, if you hate Spain so much, why don't you just drive out of Spain and start again? It's because that Spain was on our itinerary. A lot of curves in that word. Spain was on our itinerary, and so we went to Spain. I said we were going to go there, and we went there. And I tried not to be too hateful about it, but man, Spain is rough for me. But I did, off camera, I drove from Bilbao up to Bayonne and swapped out trucks, and here we go. And we're just going to continue on our journey. Now, I did drop in the Grimes late autumn, early winter weather. So once we get across into the UK, hopefully we're going to have some early winter weather all the way up to northern Scotland when we make the crossing up to Iceland, where obviously it's always winter. So I don't even think like the texture files and some of the things that Grimes has put in that mod, I don't even think they apply to Iceland, because the Pro Mods team has created its own textures and its own everything up there. Its own like the physics characteristics of the road, and how there's some places where it's really, really slippy. I mean, obviously, it's Iceland's covered with ice and snow, so I don't think anything that's in the Grimes weather mods really even applies to Iceland. It's like a file unto its own within the Pro Mods folder, within the Pro Mods download, whatever you want to call it. So we'll only see the effects of the Grimes late autumn, early winter weather mod in the UK. We will not see it in Iceland. And then we will, by the time we take a trip through Iceland and go across to Scandinavia, by then it'll be time to throw in the Frosty Winter mod, and we'll go from there. So that is something else that's going on. What else is going on? Oh, I cloned the profile that we're in right now, and because I can do that, I'm good like that. I cloned it, and then I did roll forward to the 1.33 patch. I was curious what was in there. I thought maybe it was just some bug fixes, but apparently it's some actual stuff. There's some new trailers. There is double flatbed ownership, but only if you own a garage in Finland, which you can't do yet because Beyond the Baltic Sea has not been released. But you can do like a flatbed B-double in regular Scandinavia. So we would have been able to buy that and locate it to our garage in Bergen. But we would not have been able to drive it in like continental Europe, I guess. I guess Scandinavia is still continental Europe, but you know what I mean. Wouldn't have been able to drive it in like Germany and France. So there's some new trailers. The rain is new, and it was crazy because when I was in that patch, it seemed like it rained constantly. Like that patch is bumping up the rain probability so you can see the new rain. And I have to say, as weird as it is to say this, it was beautiful. Like, it was significantly different than the current rain modeling as far as the way the drops hit, the way they scatter, the way they gather. There's this big fat rail of water. Like, when your windscreen wiper comes up vertically, it pushes that little ridge of water in front of it that ends up, as your windscreen wiper comes up dead vertical. Do we need to get over? No, we can't get over. As your windscreen wiper comes up dead vertical, it pushes that ridge of water in front of it, and then obviously your wiper goes back down and it just leaves that vertical water running down your windscreen. But the effect that they've put together for that is just unbelievable. It's such a small thing, but it's really well executed, and it's just beautiful. It's really, really immersive. I never thought in my life that I would ever be talking about the quality of rain on a windscreen rendered in a video game, but yeah, I'm straight up doing that. It is a beautiful rain effect, and it's a small thing. If I had not read about it, I don't know that I would have noticed it. Like, it's that subtle, but it's there, man. And all these little things that they're bringing in definitely all contribute to the immersion. So there is that. There are some physics effects that are changed, and there's a couple other things. So if you're not running 1.33, if it hasn't auto updated and you're thinking about getting into that beta, there's some cool things in there. It breaks a lot of things. Obviously, it breaks pro mods. It breaks a couple trailer mods. It breaks some lighting and accessory mods, which I thought was odd, but it's possible that maybe there's some different ways that they're rendering light as they're continuing to optimize the game. I don't know, but there were several light and accessory mods that had the red exclamation point. I turned those off. There were other things that it did not have the red exclamation point, but immediately I was getting crashes even after I had deactivated all the things that it said it broke. And what I finally had to turn off is I had to turn off sound fixes. Both the Grimes mods that we were running, which was autumn weather, I want to say, early autumn weather, and realistic building lights, it breaks those. I think sound fixes gets broken a lot, and I think the reason is that when a patch comes in, I think sometimes it has differently named sound files, or I don't know. I'm not sure why, because sound fixes seems like such a I mean, it's a great mod. It changes the game in the same way the Jazzy Cat packs do. But to me, it's always struck me as kind of a superficial mod. Like, it's just, isn't it just up on the surface making sounds? It's not really affecting graphics or economy or gameplay or anything. You know, how could sound fixes get broken so often? But a lot of patches break sound fixes, and it takes a minute till the developer patches the mod up and it runs again. So I turned off sound fixes, I turned off the grime stuff, and I got it running. And because this profile has, I mean, we had some stuff that we could sell so I could have some money to play with. Our loan is fully paid, so I was able to borrow some money. I bought some trailers, checked out some new things in the game, drove in the rain a little bit, but then it started crashing a lot. So I would have needed to go in and deactivate more mods, and I just didn't feel like doing that. So I did play in 1.33 a little bit, but it wasn't stable enough for me to continue recording and doing 1.33 episodes and then plug in pro mods when it is available for 1.33. So I'm going to stay in 1.32 for a while, and we'll patch up when we can. But for now, I'm going to stay in 1.32. Not a big deal. Don't crash. I forgot something. When you run the Grimes, I said we were going to run in daylight, and we are. But I forgot when you run the Grimes, when you get into autumn and winter, in Grimes, the sun rises later and later and later. So the sun will come up here, but it doesn't come up at 5 o'clock in the morning like it does when you're running base game weather. So that is that. What else is going on? Still have not seen a release date for Beyond the Baltic Sea. Today is Sunday for me, the 18th. Monday for you, the 19th. Tomorrow, Monday the 19th for me, Farm Sim comes out. Farm Sim 19. They bumped the date up to the 19th, I guess, being cute. 19. I see you working, Giant Software. I see what you're doing there. So good on them. We'll get that going. I'll get an episode up absolutely as soon as I possibly can. Me and 10,000 other YouTubers. And that sort of leads into the next thing that's on my list. We'll get to that in a second. What else? Long Island Railroad is going to be out for Train Sim World on Tuesday. I will do an episode for that just as soon as it is available. And I think, what else are we waiting for? Is there one other mod? So 1, 2, 3. No, I think that's it. And I think that's going to be it until probably right around Christmas, man. All these pauses and hiccups just scare the hell out of me. They really do. Oh, we're going so fast. Oh, okay. I didn't want to be going that fast. I didn't realize you got to slow down to 30 for those fast pass lanes. I thought we were going a lot slower than we were. So, whew, good on me, man. That was a bit reckless. I have to say. So, what else is going on? Channel news. Let me share this with you. You've heard me talk in some of my videos about the, it's not quite frustration, but I am perplexed by the very slow growth of my channel. I've had a couple videos take off. I have one that's over 1,000 views. I have one that's closing in on 1,000 views. There is progress, but it's very, very slow. And I know some channels grow faster than others, but I cannot help but look at my channel and think, like, is this working? Is this doing what it's supposed to? It just seems really, really slow. And and I'm a patient cat, and I'm a diligent cat. I don't mind putting in the time, and I don't mind paying dues and being persistent and being consistent. I don't have a problem with any of those things. At the same time, I don't like beating a dead horse. Really, I don't like beating any horses, but I particularly don't like beating dead ones. And I think from time to time, I'm doing something wrong. So there's no need to continue doing the same thing wrong. If it's not working, it's not working. And when I say that, I'm not angry. I'm not like bitter about that in any way. I'm just recognizing like, I think I might be doing something wrong. So in the interest of not continuing to do the same thing wrong for longer than I have to, what did I hit? Did I hit some? Jeezy Pete's. Okay. You know, it the reason it's so embarrassing to do things like that, it's like bumping into something when you're walking. You ever bump something like with your head or trip over a curb or something, and it's like, man, how long do I have to operate this body before I can move it around the world without bumping into things? Like, how many years of walking will it take before I can not bump into things? And it doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, you're like, God damn it, you know, I'll get used to these feet one of these days. So it's like I got enough miles in this sim. If I'm doing like special transport, or if I'm in a uniquely tight and challenging area and I bump something, that's one thing. But to just bump into a pump island at a gas station, it's like, what is this your first time? First time driving a truck? Oh, game. Oh, game, how I love hate you. So anyway, that was embarrassing, but we soldier on. So what I'm saying is, I know it takes time to build a channel, but I wonder sometimes if the time that it's taking me is just the normal amount of time that it takes, or if I'm doing something wrong. I think I'm doing something wrong. I know I feel like some people got me on notification squad, and I have to say that is like so flattering to think that somebody is like, ooh, there's a Portable Gamer video, I can't wait to see it. You know, like actual notification squad. That's so cool. And then other times I think, or not, or it's just like a bot or a spider or something, or it's like one of my ex-girlfriends creeping on me, and then that's not nearly as cool. That's not like, that's the wrong kind of notification squad. But there's only a couple of those, and I feel like I was actually growing for a while, and now I feel like we're going in reverse. I'm losing subscribers, everything's going backwards, and it's you know, you got to know when you're beaten. So what I'm gonna do is we're at about 375 videos. We're gonna go to 400, and then I'm gonna go on hiatus, and that should take us to like first or second week of December. And I'm either gonna retool, or I'm gonna take some time off, maybe forever. And that's not, you know, the reason I'm telling you in advance, and I'm not gonna talk about it as we count down to it, but the reason I'm telling you in advance is so it doesn't come off like a rage quit or, you know, some kind of hissy fit or something. It's just, I love making these videos, but nobody's watching them. So it's not, I wouldn't say that it's a waste of my time. If anything, it's a waste of your time, because so many people apparently check my videos out, and then they don't watch the whole thing, and they don't subscribe. And that's not on them, that's on me. You know, it's the great thing about YouTube is it is a democratizing kind of system. If you put good content out there, people will find it and watch it. If nobody's watching it, maybe you're not putting out good content. Now, to be fair, the algorithm is tricky, and there's a lot of complaining about the algorithm, and people say, oh, you know, it's stacked against me, it's out to get me, it's, you know, it doesn't favor me, it's whatever. And the thing is, they may be right, because the algorithm, you know, how do I want to say this? There are so many people posting really good videos on YouTube that YouTube does not have a problem finding videos that people want to watch, and then it generates advertising and everybody's happy. But at the same time, the algorithm can make a random video popular by recommending it to a lot of people, or putting it next to the video on a really popular channel. So I'm not like paranoid about it. I don't think the algorithm is out to get me or anything. But I do recognize that if your formula is like not whatever, then the algorithm is just not going to work for you. And that's what I feel like right now. Like, something's not right. Something's just not right. And that's moment. And that's cool, you know. That's just the way things go sometimes. So I'm going to take a little time off, take the end of December off, kind of regroup, gather myself, do a little bit more research, and try to crack this code, man, which I have to, you know, part of it is my OCD, part of it is my ego. I really want to crack this code. And another part of me is like, you know what, if it's not crackable, if the time when you could have a gaming channel on YouTube and gain subs and views, if that time has passed, you know, then so be it. I missed my window. But that's what's going to happen, and that's going to happen in a structured way. So I did want to tell you in advance that it's not going to be like any kind of a response or reaction. It's going to be a decision that I made in advance, based on, I don't know, whatever, me, more or less. So that's what's going on with me. What else is going on? I think that's about it. I really do. I think I crossed everything off my list, and I don't know how far we have to go. I could probably look at the map. I could look at the mini map. Smart. Wow, we really have not gone very far at all. It was, what, 800 kilometers? We've gone about 200, and we've got over an hour to go, based on my clock that I use in my head for estimating jobs. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll drive till it's time to sleep, and then we'll pick it up next week with part 2, or maybe I'll just finish off camera, and we'll start from, where were we making our crossing? We were going across to Dover or Portsmouth? I don't know. We were going across to somewhere in the UK. So that's what we'll do, man. We'll just drive a bit, and well, you know, I always do this. I get all settled down. I get so excited to record. I really do love making these videos. I get all settled down to record, and then once I get all settled, I'm like, oh, where's all my stuff that I need? Oh, it's far away. So my vape is like across the room, and what can you do? What can you do? You cannot hit your vape is what you can do. So, yep, I think that's it. Man, I am, these hitches, man. Do I need more RAM? I've got a ton of RAM, and it's fast DDR4 RAM. I've got SSD drive. Where's the bottleneck? Is it a bus problem? Like, where are all these hitches? Now, I did notice in 1.33 without Pro Mods, I was not having those. So I think it's safe to say that clearly those are a result of Pro Mods. But then when you look on the Pro Mods website, it says that it has no impact on FPS. I even read one, it might have been a Reddit or something. I read one where it said that Pro Mods will help you gain FPS. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. That sounds not true. It sounds like a not true thing. Just missed my turn. Add a little time to this trip that's already pretty long. That's what happens when you start looking around at the world and not looking at your GPS. Right, I don't know how far down here it's going to make us go. Not far. Doesn't really add much to the trip, so we'll get turned around here. Sorry about that. Yeah, man, that happens. Should have seen me in the, what was I driving? I was driving the Actros off camera in Spain, and I got lost, I don't know, probably, I'd say between 50 and 90 times I got lost in the space of about 10 minutes. I was just going in circles. You think I was lost on camera? Ooh, should have seen me off camera. I was a hot mess. And yet, I love this game. So, turn around here. And I can't imagine. And gear. I can't imagine. And you know I've done project management in the past. I've run teams, yo. I can't imagine where you start on a project like this. Now, to be fair, the projects that I was running were all projects that I had experience with either as a manager or as a team member. So, you know, wasn't... Oh, God. You know, it's at a point where they happen so often that I'm starting to wonder if it's like taken away from the quality of the video. Or, well, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to the pauses in a second. So, so to be fair, the projects that I was running were things that I was like well familiar with. So if you're gonna, you know, design a video game or something, or design an expansion or a DLC, that's, you know, you're familiar with that. You know how that all works. That's your world. at the same time, like a project like this, I don't know where you even start, man. Like, do you start by, that's a short ramp, I'm just going for it. Do you start by just looking at a map of Europe and deciding the areas that you want to map? Do you go out and scout around and find places that are photogenic? Do you pick the areas that are the most complicated to give great gameplay? Do you pick areas that are the least complicated so they're easier to start with? You know, like how do you begin doing something like this? Do you start with the trucks? Do you start with the roads? You know, do you build the scenery and just move a camera around it and then render the trucks and the physics later? I don't know, but it is it's a strange game, man. It's an amazing sim, and I'm hooked. I'm gonna be hooked forever. This has got to be hands down my favorite video game and or sim of all time. I love it. I really do. So back to the hitches and the pauses. I don't even know if you can see them. They're extremely noticeable to me, and I think sometimes that you really can't see them except when I keep talking about them, you know? So there's a part of me that's like, because I watch less now than I used to, because I'm trying to keep my own business together. But I used to watch a ton of YouTube sim gamers, and there's all kinds, man. And one kind is, I don't know how to describe it, but they just like, I'd say this could be not the most frustrating. That's not the right word for it. What are you doing? You going? Don't go. I don't want to say the most frustrating, but I mean it makes me smile. I have to say, I think it's super, super cool, but it perplexes me. That's a good word for it. It absolutely perplexes me, because there is a kind of YouTube sim gamer that, you know, you go in their live stream and they've got like 150 people watching, and their videos get, you know, thousands of views. Not hundreds of thousands, but like seriously 2,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 views. They have, you know, 10,000 subs. And I watch their gameplay, and it's just them goofing around. And I think I may be missing something, because that, just for me personally, that doesn't do it for me. And that's what sort of confuses me about my own channel, because I see videos of people they're just driving and just bouncing off the walls, and, you know, going the wrong way and getting lost, and some of them talk, some of them don't even talk. They're just, you know, it's not like they're making a compelling or an entertaining presentation. It's just, to me, it's just somebody streaming them playing a video game badly, and hundreds of people are watching. And I see that, and I'm like, huh, okay. Is that a thing? It seems to be a thing. And, you know, they're in 720p, 30 FPS. They don't care about frame rate. They don't care about HD. They just don't seem to care. And they also don't seem to care about, you know, their audio quality. They got a headset mic, and it's really, to me, it's just really kind of amateur. And yet they have a ton of subs, and I'm like, huh, okay. All right, let's take note of that. So, you know, I guess it depends on the crowd. I think for some people's audience, you know, if there's a decrease in the quality of the render or the FPS, or if there's hitches or lag or those things, their audience is like, what are you doing, man? What's the deal? You're falling apart. And then for other people that have a different kind of audience, they don't know or care about those things, you know? So I guess it's just a question of getting in front of the right audience. So I don't know if my audience notices those things, but I sure do. And I wouldn't say it drives me crazy, but it both technically, well, I guess all three. Technically, it bothers me what's going on there. My OCD is just cringing every time that happens. And then it also breaks the immersion for me. So I don't know, man. I don't know. One of those things. I'm going to pull up here a bit, take a look at the mini-map. I don't know when we need to sleep. We started at what? 4 a.m.? You need to sleep after like 15 or 16 hours? So we should need to sleep. I'm gonna put my money down. I'm gonna place my bet and say we need to sleep in about 4 hours, 5 hours. Carefully. Carefully. 3 hours. Ah. All right. Get that turned off. Okay. 3 hours. No, not that one. 3 hours. Okay, so I guess we can start looking now, because with compression, 3 hours goes by in about 10 minutes. So we'll start looking now. 10 minutes will be 45-minute video. That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay. So it's all going to work out. Or not. Who knows? Now, I am curious. When I tested 1.33, I did head across to the UK with this same rig, and this rig will fit on a ferry, or at least it'll fit on the ferry that I crossed on. I know there's, I think, slightly different size ferries, particularly in Pro Mods. But in the past, well, a couple patches ago, like maybe 1.30, I know there were some, they weren't ownable trailers, but you could put in like big tandems and, you know, crazy combos, and they would be available at the dispatch. You just had to go in and select them, as they were a trailer that the company owned. Not your company, but like the company that you were hauling for. They were somebody else's trailers, but you could pick the one you wanted and put a skin on it and everything at the dispatch. And you could pick like great big Scandinavian tandems and stuff. And you could drive those anywhere. You could take them anywhere. And it's gotten more and more sophisticated. In fact, the cast trailers, for a while you could just download the trailers as a mod, and then you could download a def file either to have them available anywhere or to have them available only in Scandinavian countries, and there was one for Pro Mods and various things. Now, as far as I know, that's gone, and they're only available in Scandinavian countries. You don't get the choice anymore. Like, you only get to drive trailers in countries where that MOT allows them, which I think is a fantastic detail. But I was driving those big trailers that you could pick up at the dispatch. I was driving them everywhere, and there were a couple times where I was wondering what that whining sound was, and we're going like 110 kilometers an hour. Let's slow it down a little bit. Hey, the whining sound went away. So a couple of times I had a big trailer on, like a big tandem or something, and I took a ferry, and when it respawned me at the other end, because the ferry is, obviously the ferry is just a scenery item with a collision, and it's not a real ferry. It doesn't actually move, so it spawns you in there, and then off you go. Well, there were a couple times it spawned me in with my trailer like half through a wall, and I did this crazy like Jacob's Ladder thing and just started rattling around inside the ferry until I had 100% damage to both the truck and the cargo, back before we had ownable trailers, before there were 3 damage areas. So for a long time I wasn't taking dolly trailers on ferries, but I did take a short dolly trailer on a ferry to the UK, and it worked out all right. So for the moment, I think we're okay, and that's why I took this trip rather than deadheading to the UK with no trailer, buying a garage, having a trailer sent over, and then hooking it up. So I think we'll be okay. It'll be an interesting test to see if that is for all ferries or if it's only for some ferries. So we'll find out shortly, I suppose. But that's something else to be aware of if you're running the cast trailers. You can haul the dolly trailers anywhere, but I don't want to say be careful on ferries, but if you do have that happen to you on a ferry, like, that's not, I don't want to say not unheard of, but like, that's turn big truck. There you go. That's a problem that I've had in the past, is that is respawning. It does happen now, regardless of ferries. It does happen if you ever fast travel to the garage, which I'll do sometimes. I'll drop off a load on camera, say goodbye, thanks for stopping back to check out the Portable Gamer, and then because I've pushed my fatigue cycle so far and it's time to sleep, rather than driving to the garage, I'll just fast travel to the garage off camera. And there have been a couple times, only in Only in ProMods areas, there have been a couple of times where at the garage, at the repair point, it spawned me into a wall. In fact, there was one in Spain. Oh, it's something else to love about Spain. I go to the garage and I can see the wrench icon inside a building with closed doors. So I went to both sides. I tried it from the front, right? Like I tried to, maybe it had no collision. So I tried to drive my truck in through the door. It didn't roll up automatically, and it didn't, I couldn't pass through it. Like it didn't have the collision turned off. And then I tried to back in with the trailer both times. That didn't happen for either door. And then I detached the trailer and tried to just back the truck through the door. Both doors, front and rear. That didn't happen. So then I fast traveled to the wrench, right, to the garage. It put me inside the building with the doors closed, up on a lift with my trailer, like dangling over the front and rear. I did the repair, and then when I pulled through, it did let me pass through the door from the opposite direction. So, you know, that sort of stuff in ProMods, it's, how do I want to say it? It's a little, maybe inconsistent. Yeah, that's a good word for it. That's not how we get down there. Okay. All right. How do we get down there? Can I exit here? So we're going to exit. We're going to pass under the highway. Interesting. Okay. We're going to exit, pass under the highway to get to the rest area. That is not something I've seen before. I like that. So as far as dolly trailers, yeah, sometimes even if you don't get on the ferry, you can still run into problems when you respawn, which, again, it's not that big a deal. It's just one of those things that, you know, the more you play the game, the more you come across these, I don't know what you want to call them. They're not deal breakers. They're like little quirks, you know? They're just little things that happen. So that is, yeah, that's my take on dolly trailers. I do like them, and for the longest time, I really didn't even like the idea of rigid trailers, rigid trucks rather. And the reason I have to say is, for some reason I thought that putting the rigid box on, like, brought in the trailer code. So when you drove to the dispatch, rather than picking up a trailer, I thought you just picked up a box. And I thought, you know, it essentially turned off all the image files for that. So rather than showing a trailer hooked up to your truck now, it just, like, said the code was in there. See what I'm getting at? Like, it just sort of pretended that you had a trailer hooked up, but really it had added the weight to your box, or somehow, however it, you know, did it with the code. And I wasn't clear on, like, how the whole dolly trailer thing worked. But then when I did it, I mean, it's got definitely, like, a very, what is to me a very European look. How do we want to do this? We want to go over there. And then we want to go over here. How do we get over there? Okay, that's just fuel. Okay, we go to this one. Not this one, but this one. That's the one for fuel. We're good on fuel. This is the one for sleep. Is it? Oh man, the timing could not have been better on this. I'm super happy. So because we have ATS and we have you know, big American trucks, I love the idea of the dolly trailers driving a rigid with a dolly in ETS, because that is something that is so specifically and uniquely European. It just feels so different than driving an American truck that, to me, it's, you know what I'm saying? It's a very, whatever. It's a thing. Now, we're going to be poking out a little bit. Let's see if we can get this at least between the lines somewhat. Oh, fantastic. Okay. Oh, not too far. Not too far. Let's get her in neutral. Set the brake. Turn the parking lights on. Turn the engine off. Turn that off. Let's hop outside. And I suppose this could be our screenshot as well. You know what? Maybe I'll do it with the photo editor off camera. Right on. folks, thanks for stopping back to check out the Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of European Truck Simulator, ETS2. Thanks for joining us for another episode of ETS2. And we'll see you next time. Take care now.